The Renault Sport Trophy is in the south of France this weekend, about 40 k's east of Marseille. In beautiful weather, we're here at Le Castellet at Circuit Paul Ricard for, well, 5 Renault races in total when you take into account the Formula Renault 2-litre events, the Eurocup Formula Renault 2-litre rounds that have already taken place here at Paul Ricard. But we also have 3 races for the Renault Sport Trophy. The endurance race yesterday, and this is round 6 of the season, as you can see. We've already had a sprint race as well for the amateur drivers. Well, it's the turn of the pros now for a 25-minute race plus a lap. David Fuminelli will start from the front row for Oregon team, alongside Pieter Schothorst, which promises to be a fascinating affair for the next half an hour or so. There's an indication of exactly where we are in the south of France, partway between Marseille and Nice. It's a fantastic part of the world, really rocky scenery nearby, and you do get a little bit of breeze blowing down the Mistral Strait from time to time. It's relatively still though today, and there is the track at Circuit Paul Ricard. It's a high-tech test track for some time, but increasingly so over the recent seasons. It's been really a great venue to come and race in Europe. 42 degrees Celsius as a track temperature. That's 26 air temperature, so slightly cooler than recent days leading up to this event. Thursday was particularly hot, but the Michelin tyres on these Renault Sport cars are going to be punished over the next half an hour. So hello there, welcome to our coverage. My name's Johnny Palmer. Graham Goodwin sat to my right. He's been with us all weekend of dailysportscar.com, and this is where the pros are unleashed, Graham, with these 550 brake horsepower Renault Sport cars, essentially prototypes. A lot of carbon fibre on these machines, and it will be great to see what these pros can do with them.
What's not to like here, really? Nice little grid of fabulous Renault RS01s, 500 plus horsepower, as you quite rightly say, from the Nissan power plants. The brilliantly put together carbon chassis RS01s, beloved by not just the professional drivers but the amateur drivers too. The potential performance of these cars somewhat in excess of a GT3 car for those that know these things. Lots of downforce, and we've seen, haven't we, Johnny, both in the endurance and sprint format racing, that it's very easy to actually race these things pretty close together. It's going to be very interesting indeed at this, very much a kind of power circuit here, just how well these professionals can race. We've got 1 or 2 of the guys who'll be actually out there in race conditions for the first time during this race. With 1 or 2 issues yesterday for some of the leading runners in the early part of the race.
A brief glimpse there of Nelson Panciatici, who is new to Renault Sport Trophy action. Oh, he's not new to Joe. Graham shakes his head.
No, he's definitely raced in this before.
Has he? Okay.
He has.
Beg your pardon.
Early part of the season.
Well, he's back for a bit more then, therefore, and he clearly put his talents to good use yesterday, because I remember he started the stint way down in the order because of a tricky first stint for his AM teammate, but it was fascinating to watch Nelson Panciatici come through the order, and he starts from 4th behind Kevin Courjus, who we hope will take the start of this race. The car grinding to a halt on what we reckon yesterday was the green flag lap, car number 3. So Courjus starts alongside Panciatici. It's Pieter Schothorst in 2nd position, David Fuminelli from pole position in the first of the Oregon team cars. There are 2 more of those pink, yellow and green machines further back in the pack. Raul Owens starts from 5th, Nicky Pastorelli in 6th position. So we are on for a 12:30 start time. There's the 15-second board. The green flag's waved at the back as well, and everybody, officials and guests alike, have been told to clear the grid so that these cars can be safely released. So Fuminelli leaving the grid first of all, alongside the Equipe Faucheur car of Pieter Schothorst. This will be a rolling start, pace dictated at the moment by the pace car. And earlier on for the AM class cars, we actually had 2 formation laps. We think that might have been because of an issue with the track, maybe a bollard that was loose that needed to be collected. Fuminelli then started from pole position. A 2:01.8 is a very respectable lap time, but not too much slower. Pieter Schothorst, Kevin Courjus and Nelson Panciatici start on the 2nd row, and it'll be a 3rd row of Raul Owens for RACE GP, and Nicky Pastorelli, the Dutchman for the Dutch squad, V8 Racing. Then Tanart Satin-Terracool, yesterday's winner with his teammate Fran Ruder. Bruno Bonifacio starting from 8th position. The 5th row, 9th and 10th, Mike Verscheur. Good race for him yesterday for Equipe Verscheur, and Duquesne Engineering's Lonnie Martins. Renault Coupens taking the place of Marcus Paltela in car number 9. Paltela racing in the States. Dario Capitanio starts 12th, and then on the 7th row it's Anders Fjordbach for High Class Racing. Dennis Anderson was in that car a little earlier on today, and Jordan Groger starting from the back of the pack. Don't expect Jordan to finish there though. That 6th car capable of a little bit more, I'd say, than 14th position. All 14 cars appear to be there, and we do have the other RHGP car, which is good to see. So both the car driven by Fred Blomstedt earlier, now by Raoul Owens. Number 2 is the second of the white cars that you can see with the red door mirrors, and then Kevin Corhus's car is the one with the green mirrors, running 3rd as we look at that shot of the Mistral Straight.
Confirmed 14 cars are there in the train. And as always with a multi-race weekend, it can get a bit feisty in the final encounter. 25 minutes plus a lap, as Johnny Palmer correctly says. Other than the temperature, weather will not be a factor, as it hasn't been throughout this glorious weekend here in the south of France.
So heading round now to the end of this opening formation lap. Panciatici with a load of experience with Renaults at single-seater level, having raced for Epsilon Sport and Epsilon Euskadi in the past, SG Formula in the mid-2000s, and then he worked his way to Formula 3 and GP2 series together with Super League Formula. But Panciatici's really made his name in recent times with the 24 Hours of Le Mans at Signatech Alpine and also the FIA World Endurance Championship. Fuminelli, though, setting the best time this morning. The pace car is about to dart to the right, leaving it very, very late. It does so now, and 14 Renault Sport Trophy cars are heading down towards the main straight. The RHGP cars almost overlapping there. Is that part of the game plan? The red lights now on the gantry are extinguished, and we are racing for 25 minutes plus an extra lap. The Oregon car's not messing around either, mid-pack. That's Bonifacio, I think, trying to find his way through. RHGP in the risk of trying to lose a position here, or not trying to, but risking losing a position, as that is Corjus in the midfield up against it, but he works his way through. Right behind him was teammate Raoul Owens, charging their way down to the first corner, and we have a new leader, because that is Pieter Schothorst, who's got the jump on Fuminelli, but disaster behind, including for the Vodafone back car. So that is sideways. That's is that Pastorelli that's gone for a spin?
It's number 7 car.
And the 7 car, which is Jelle Bielen's teammate.
It's Pastorelli.
That is Pastorelli, yeah. And Mike Verscheur was the other car spinning, I believe, in the number 19 car. Yes, it was.
Didn't see what caused that.
No.
But we've got 4 or 5 wide. And another, it's with one of the Mark VDS cars was going wide at the start of the Mistral Straight.
Satin-Terracool, and it
yes,
looked
indeed.
like that car was crawling to a halt as well. Where is the other Mark VDS car? It's still there, by the way, in...
Renault Coupens in the blue car.
Coupens in the 11th placed
and
number 9 car.
Trouble for one of the RS cars. Did not get the power down at all coming through the chicane.
Kevin Corjus, we know he had problems yesterday with that car on the warming up lap, and it is struggling to come out of the Mistral chicane. So Schothorst leads, Fuminelli second, 3rd position Nelson Panciatici and Bruno Bonifacio in 4th, 5th place Raoul Owens, and 6th position for Lonnie Martins. And the incident involving cars 19 and 7, unsurprisingly, Mike Verscheur and Nicky Pastorelli, is now under investigation. It'd be great to have a replay of that just as soon as possible, but best to keep with the action at the moment, seeing as it's still unfolding. We haven't yet got one lap completed.
Satin-Terracool did come through, albeit slowly, the second sector. Mike Verscheur, though, has not been scored through either of the sectors, so that incident earlier does appear to have seen the end of the race at the moment for the number 19 car, the Vodafone car.
That may well be the case. Miguel Ramos with a good result in that earlier on today. Pieter Schothorst then across the line in the lead at the end of the first lap. Half a second back is David Fuminelli. And there is the Equipe Vasseur car of Mike Vasseur, off track, driver out sadly, and the first retirement. And it remains to be seen how much further Sathian Terrakul can get. He hasn't yet completed the first lap. I wouldn't be surprised to see that car heading down pit road, maybe for the team to attend to it. Pieter Schothorst leading the way though by half a second from David Fuminelli and Nelson Panciatici. Then it's Bruno Bonifacio in fourth, fifth position Raoul Owens. They're working their way through turns 3, 4 and 5 on this, the second lap. A chance to see what happened then at the start, and ducking and diving midfield there was Bruno Bonifacio for the Oregon team. But further back, what happened to Nicky Pastorelli? Well, he shortcutted the second corner, and was it as he rejoined there was contact? No. There's the Vodafone car that's also going to presumably make contact with the number 7 machine. They just go out of shot and it all kicks off, and both cars are facing the wrong way. Both Nicky and Mike Vasseur bury the right foot to get the cars in the right direction, and it's one across the nose of another, and they spin in total synchronicity, and there's a tyre down for Sathian Terrakul. Is that damaged front left corner? In fact, well. Yes, the wheel not rotating, and the tyre's gone down as a result of that damaged suspension or damaged wheel hub.
He's got him back to the pits.
He has. Sathian Terrakul did indeed pit at the end of lap 1. Meanwhile, the race leaders are not very far away from completing 2 laps now. Pieter Schothorst, there he is in the McGregor back car, leading the way then by 0.8 of a second over David Fuminelli in second and Nelson Panciatici in third.
Sathian Terrakul had taken the car across the off track to the outside, possibly in avoidance of that incident. I wonder if he picked up some debris there. Does it cause or effect on the front end of that car? Fastest lap of the race now goes to Pieter Schothorst. So 2:04.337, pulling away a little, more than a second clear now of Fuminelli, who's in his own battle at the moment with Nelson Panciatici.
Fuminelli from pole position, remember, running down in second at the moment, but lapping very nicely indeed. Panciatici third, fourth Bonifacio with the quickest middle sector of anybody, and the car moving around a little bit for the Raoul Owens machine. Behind him is Lonnie Martins, given a time penalty yesterday.
That was a mistake by the car ahead, giving the number 17 car the opportunity to get onto terms. Kevin Cahoos, by the way, is in trouble. That car was not up to speed on the last lap. Dropped to the back of the field.
So Kevin Cahoos now running 12th behind Jordan Groger, who, as I said, might make progress in the race. Well, he's from 14th to 11th. Most of those places, of course, down to a pit-stopping car, a stopped car and on track, and now an issue for Kevin Cahoos. But Jordan Groger's not very far away from Anders Fjord back in 10th. And actually Nicky Pastorelli, a recovering Nicky Pastorelli in the green number 7 car, just caught sight of them in the back of that shot, exiting the Mistral chicane. There is Raoul Owens in the white RS GP car, ahead of Lonnie Martins. And then David Capitanio in 7th. Renaud Coupens is 8th. 19 minutes on the clock. And Pieter Schothorst working his way now through the tight left, followed by a tight right-hander that ends the lap here at Le Castellet, powering his way out over the grid hatchings to complete the 3rd lap of this pro driver sprint race. This will complete the Renault Sport Trophy action for the weekend. It's been a busy time for all these drivers, an endurance race yesterday afternoon, and then each of the AM and the pro drivers allocated to these cars get a race of their own to try and score points.
Pieter Schothorst, though, has got his head around this package and this track. Took another second out of Fuminelli and Panciatici last time around. 2:03.776 is now the fastest lap. And the gap, 2 seconds now. Pieter Schothorst in number 21 car. As Nelson Panciatici in this car. It's Kevin Cahoos, meanwhile, is onto pit road. As Panciatici tries to get onto terms with Fuminelli in second.
We should also make the point that this is crucial as far as the pro element of the championship is concerned, because Kevin Courjus came here leading the championship on 68 points from Pieter Schothorst. So Schothorst all of a sudden will grab the championship lead if things end this way. And Kevin Courjus, well, looking at a outside of the top 10 finish at the moment. He has brought the car in from 12th, and you don't get any points for that. Marcus Paltela not here this weekend. There'll be music to the Finns' ears to presumably come back at Spa, and he will be eligible, as will all the pros in this race, be eligible to score points in the endurance race at Spa, of course, as well.
Rather remarkably, it's been a fantastic weekend for Marcus Paltela in the championship, despite the fact he hasn't been here.
I know, yes.
Both losing less ground than he might have expected in the Pro Championship with Kevin Courjus's problems, and retaining the lead in the Endurance Championship.
Yeah, I'm still not entirely sure how he managed to do that, both he and Fabian Schiller, but the race conspired against all the other people that had the potential to overtake both Marcus and Fabian. And yes, they will leave France, still with their 65 points, but still with the championship lead. David Fuminelli could be one to really benefit this weekend though as well, running second on the road as we speak. Fourth in the championship coming here to Paul Ricard.
And beginning to find his feet in this race, David Fuminelli. There is no immediate threat just now from Nelson Panciatici behind. Panciatici dropping back just a little. He's beginning to get onto terms with the pace of Pieter Schothorst. 2.1 seconds was the gap at the end of lap 4.
Schothorst, Fuminelli, Panciatici, Bonifacio, and actually a shout for Bruno Bonifacio, who started quite a way back and is now running for the Oregon team in 4th position and is circulating marginally quicker than Panciatici, but he's got about a second and a half to try and find to close in on the Frenchman. Down the Mistral Straight goes the second of the Oregon cars. The black bumper, evidence of that car receiving quite a bit of damage earlier on in the weekend. They clearly don't have a pink body component to strap to that car. That's how the Oregon car should look in the foreground. And then the sister machine with the added black bodywork just approaching Scene Corner now, ahead of Raul Owens. Lonnie Martins in 6th, 7th position David Capitanio, and Renaud Coupons in 8th position in the sole surviving Team Mark VDS car. Sadly for Tanart Satyaterikul, that was retirement on the spot with front left suspension damage. Pieter Schothorst in 2nd position. So 15 minutes on the clock, and McGregor backed car. Pieter Schothorst exiting the final corner to head over the line. 5 laps now in the book. That's a very good middle sector there for Schothorst.
Yeah, Schothorst responding, I think, to a bit of a charge from Fuminelli there. He's into the 203s, Fuminelli the low 204s, the gap 2.5 seconds. This is really now about, can Pieter Schothorst, 14 minutes plus the lap remaining, maintain that advantage? Is Nelson Panciatici just sitting back, letting things cool down and girding his loins for another go here? The battle, if anything, is for 4th behind. Bonifacio, Owens, Martens and Capitanio pretty closely spread.
Well, they were, but Lonnie Martins was a bit too hot into that sequence of corners, missed his apex through turn 4 entirely. Didn't run off the track, but it slowed him down, and that's opened up a gap, as you can see there, between Raul Owens and the next car, Lonnie Martins. And David Capitanio could be the one to capitalise now, I suppose. Needs to push on a bit more to be with him. That's the Duquesne engineering machine that received the 25-second penalty yesterday. All is good as far as any infringement's concerned so far, though. And Lonnie Martins in that legitimate 6th position. Raul Owens just ahead in the RSGP car. Bruno Bonifacio is 4th. Nelson Panciatici is 5th. But it's Fuminelli and Schotthorst at the head of the order, and Schotthorst finding more time, an absolute best sector 2 as he breaks the beam at the end of the Mistral.
Indeed, and it's Raoul Owens in 5th position at the moment that looks the man most likely to make a move here, moving onto the rear end of Bruno Bonifacio, the 4th position. It's the number 2 car, went so well yesterday. It's the fastest lap of the race, in fact, for the race leader, Pieter Schotthorst. Marginal improvement, 2:03.769 on his lap 6. Extends that gap to over 3 seconds now.
Dario Capitanio is right with Lonnie Martins this time as they exit the final corner to head over the line for the 6th time. So a change possibly imminent for 6th position. Lonnie Martins starting to come under some pressure. 12 minutes on the clock, plus the extra lap, remember. Amazingly, that bollard is still intact at turn 5. As the cars work their way round this long, lingering right-hander, followed by a left-hand kink that takes them onto the Mistral straight. The gap from 1st to 2nd, 3.2 seconds. There's the number 5 car of David Fuminelli. He shared that with Ash Hand and with Mr. Dew this year. But Fuminelli doesn't have to hand over to anyone in this. The sprint race for the pro drivers can keep his head down and try and reel in Schotthorst, but it doesn't look likely at the moment.
But watching Nelson Panciatici as well, I think he is having another bit of a charge at Fuminelli for 2nd. So 2nd place, there's a bit of a battle developing, and for 4th as well with Bonifacio and Owens. At the moment, my money, this time around at least, is that it's going to be these 2 gentlemen that are going to get into a battle before the end of this race.
Yeah, the body language of Panciatici's car looks very angry indeed, and he's got that hair of the pink, yellow and green car just to tempt him to say, if you push on a bit more, you can be right with the 2nd place car, David Fuminelli, and try and pressurise David into some kind of a mistake. But no doubt about it, Nelson Panciatici is starting to up the pace with now 10.5 minutes still to go on the clock. There's a warning flag being displayed to Anders Fjordbach in the high-class racing car for not respecting the track limits. There are winners and losers compared to their grid starting position and their running position in the race as we speak. The man to hold station, Raoul Owens, but rapid improvement for the car in 6th position, Lonnie Martins, who's come for a long way back down the grid to gain 4 spots.
Capitanio, I think it's 5 or 6 spots from the grid.
Capitanio started 12th.
5 spots to the good.
To 7th place. And Lonnie Martins, not happy with 6th place so far, goes through sector 1 quicker than anybody else, but that's immediately bettered by Pieter Schotthorst on this, the 8th lap for the Dutchman. David Fuminelli safely through sector 1, as is Nelson Panciatici. There he is. Bruno Bonifacio still in 4th, and 5th place Raoul Owens.
Gap now approaching 4 seconds for the leader. It's been a masterclass in Renault RS01 racing thus far from Pieter Schotthorst.
Into the chicane, 2/3 of the way down the Mistral straight. The Oregon guard just turning in there is Bruno Bonifacio. Raoul Owens still in 5th, and Lonnie Martins in 6th position. There is Lonnie, the black and blue colours of Duquesne Engineering. And tucked in behind is Dario Capitanio. Renault Coupens a bit further back. There's a gap now of nearly 5 seconds. It's just over 4 seconds actually, back to Renault Coupens in Mark VDS colours with the blue bonnet. 8 minutes 45 to go. So has Nelson Panciatici got enough time left in this race to reel in Fuminelli? Fuminelli offering some kind of a reaction to the closing Frenchman, and managed a 2:04.4 last time around. Panciatici was about a 10th slower. Pieter Schotthorst still finding time there at the head of the order, not content with a 4-second lead. He sticks in a new fastest lap of the race, a 2:03.4 there on lap 8, so it's 4.3 seconds now, the gap back to Fuminelli and Panciatici. Big gap to this car, Bonifacio, who is still defending from Raoul Owens. Then a bit more of a gap to Lonnie Martins and Dario Capitanio.
That's about a second quicker than anybody else can manage at the moment for Pieter Schothurst. Raoul Owens now finding time and nibbling away at Bruno Bonifaccio's advantage. And this is the duel for 4th position.
Into turn 5. And then the long lingering turn 6, which leads to the kink at 7 and onto the back straight. And Bruno Bonifaccio's car looked a bit squirrely there, exiting turn 6. The pace is good onto this main street past the trees on the Mistral. There are various different ways you can negotiate the chicane, as you can see through different race meetings, but the Renault Sport Trophy cars go dead straight till about 2/3 of the distance and then hard onto the brakes, a 90-degree right, followed by a slightly shallower, 90-degree left, followed by a slightly shallower right-hand corner that then gently merges with the Mistral once more, and down towards Seine corner, which is very, very quick indeed for Bruno Bonifacio, in no danger at the moment of coming under pressure from Raoul Owens behind for 4th position.
Not so sure about that. He's managing to close sector by sector, 10th by 10th. But then just does seem to run out of the opportunity to get closer still. 6/10 as they pass through the 2nd sector on this lap, lap 9.
Yeah, Raoul Owens has been helped by his best lap of the race on lap 8. We're nearing the end of lap 9, so he needs to build on his personal best during this lap, and I'm not 100% sure he's done that. His RS01 exits the final corner to head over the line one more time. 6 minutes on the clock, plus one more lap.
Actually loses a 10th to Bonifacio that time around.
So it's pretty close, isn't it, between Bonifacio and Raoul Owens? 2:04.7 from both cars. The man coming, actually, is Lonnie Martins. He is 1.8 seconds adrift of these two, but much, much quicker than those guys. No, beg pardon, I'm misreading the screen. He was a little bit slower that time, so the gap's actually opened up a touch for Lonnie Martins, and he's in no danger of Dario Capitanio coming any closer.
Pieter Schothurst is just checking out here. 4/10 far, in fact, half a second quicker than the cars chasing him in the 1st sector. That brings the gap up now to 4.9 seconds at the lead of this race.
Quick lap from Fuminelli, but not quick enough. It was a quicker time than the race leader, but Schothurst able to drive within himself a little bit. Now it's close for 4th position. Bruno Bonifacio and Raoul Owens, and they're going to break the beam at the end of sector 2 in a moment. And that is 2/10 quicker for Raoul Owens, and even better for Lonnie Martins. Dario Capitanio goes through as well. And there's what's happened to Renaud Coupens. He hasn't appeared at the end of... No, he has appeared now at the end of the Mistral straight, but he's lost a couple of places for his trouble. And there's now a 10-second penalty being issued to Anders Fjordbach for a track limits problem. Renaud Coupens loses 2 spots on this lap, I reckon. Nicky Pastorelli and Anders Fjordbach, the guys to benefit.
Lost 5 seconds on the 2nd sector, Renaud Coupens, so you had a moment somewhere.
Car number 4 running in 4th, Bruno Bonifacio, about to complete lap 10. Pieter Schothurst safely onto his 11th tour. 5.1 seconds is now the gap. He's finding more and more time on David Fuminelli. Fuminelli almost 2 seconds clear of Nelson Panciatici in 2nd position rather. Panciatici's 3rd. And there's an incident involving Renaud Coupens and Nicky Pastorelli.
So that would have been where the time was lost. We've not seen that incident.
That's going to be investigated after the race, so you have to imagine there was some kind of contact between the Mark VDS car and the green V8 racing machine of Nicky Pastorelli. Through turns 6 and 7 go Raoul Owens, and the guy in front of him, Bruno Bonifacio. Lonnie Martins in the distance there in his Duquesne engineering car, as the leaders thread their way now through the Mistral chicane. Just caught a glimpse of Nelson Panciatici in the pearlescent yellow machine.
Peter Shotthurst continues his progress at the head of the field, 5.5 seconds to good now. Panciatici not able at the moment to respond to the defence from Fuminelli. Bonifacio and Owens still involved in this duel. Seems to have a kind of stalling point at around half a second.
Yep, cars getting close to one another, but can't get close enough to challenge for a place change. Just 2.5 minutes to go now on the clock, plus the extra circuit at the end. There's Peter Shotthurst turning right onto the main straight again. He'll get a little message from the team as he passes the wall.
3 laps left for Peter Shotthurst. This one, he will get to the end of this lap just before the clock reaches 0, plus that further lap.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight run thing, and well, he doesn't want to start playing games in trying to ease off.
He hasn't got quite enough to play that game.
That this is the next time around will be the last lap, so it's going to be this one and a couple more, we reckon, for Shotthurst. Fuminelli in second, third place Nelson Panciatici, then Bruno Bonifacio, Raul Owens, Lonnie Martins, Dario Capitanio, Nicky Pastorelli with a cloud above that car for the moment after messages on the screen to suggest that the 7 of Pastorelli and the 9 of Renault Coupons made contact with each other away from the view of our cameras, and that incident will be investigated after the race, but it's only going to affect 8th, 9th, 10th positions. Pastorelli
though is catching Capitanio for 7th at the moment. A pretty quick lap time, but that's the good news. The bad news is he gets a 25-second time penalty for the clash, well, causing a collision. Maybe not the same one, because we're told that the incident with the 9 was going to be investigated post-race. He gets a 25-second time penalty. That will drop him to the back of the field.
Yeah, for car 7. So whether they've decided to reach that decision before the end of the race and therefore issue the time penalty, which actually won't be added to the screen until the end, but we can more or less work out where he'll be, running at 8th as we stand, so not troubling the top 6 anyway. These cars still in the top 6. We can see Bruno Bonifacio and Raul Owens heading into the final sequence of corners, and Lonnie Martins finding a bit of time through sector 1 that time around, quicker than anybody else on the 12th lap.
Car 11 meanwhile gets a 2nd time penalty, so that gets a total of 25 seconds, a 10-second penalty judged earlier for track limits, and now gets a further 15 seconds, which will drop it behind Nicky Pastorelli.
So the first opportunity for the leader to cross the line with the clock reading 0 will happen at the end of this lap. Peter Shotthurst, as predicted by Graham, has squeezed one more out of this, so there'll be a 14-lap race in total. And Bruno Bonifacio just clipping the curb there on the exit of, where are we now, towards turn 4 and 5. So on the exit of turn 2, plenty of cars have been doing that actually, and I know that track limits have been closely observed on the exit of turn 2. This is Nicky Pastorelli then, catching up with the number 1 car of Dario Capitanio. If this place was to be made up by Nicky Pastorelli, it wouldn't actually change the final classification, because Pastorelli carrying that 25-second penalty. But if there is an overtake available to Nicky Pastorelli, I'm sure he will try and take it. As long as he keeps it clean, it'll be all fine. Getting a good run down the Mistral straight on Dario Capitanio, pulling out a line and fully alongside the Oregon car. And that's a good move from Nicky Pastorelli to pick the place away from Dario Capitanio, at the very least on the road. So 7th position now for Pastorelli.
Neat and tidily done, and it may very well be that Capitanio had been given the instruction to let him go. There's nothing to be gained there by risking your car against the car that's got a 25-second penalty, but either way, neatly done by Pastorelli. Powers away. Peter Shotthurst though is in the final sector of his penultimate lap. 7.2 seconds to good now. That is dominance. Here he comes onto the last lap now in the number 21 Keep Fisher car.
And it was Pieter Schothorst who won at Red Bull Ring in the Pro Sprint race, and also this car got a win in the Endurance Trophy at Red Bull Ring on Saturday too. So they've really hit a bit of form, have both of the Schothorsts, but it's mainly down to the pace of Pieter. Working his way now through turn 4 and onto the tight right at 5.
After a pretty terrible start to the season, okay, they've had a podium first time out, but after that 10th place and a retirement at Imola, it's been a rich seam of form, hasn't it, for this car in the Pro Class standings.
Well, yeah, in the Pro Sprint race, Pro Sprint races of the season, Pieter Schothorst, as you say, 10th, retired, and then the win at Red Bull Ring put the championship back on track. Well, this win will give him the championship lead, by my reckoning, over Kevin Courjus, who will not get a finish.
Well, a hat-trick of wins this will be for Pieter Schothorst, unless something dramatic happens in the next 40 seconds or so.
There's David Fuminelli exiting the chicane on the Mistral. The number 16 car we can see in shot is Bruno Bonifacio. And then further back, 3 cars getting themselves together late on in the race. I don't think those positions are likely to change, but Bruno Bonifacio, Raoul Owens, Lonnie Martins are in one little clump there for 4th, 5th and 6th. But here's Pieter Schothorst, just a few more corners to go at this Le Castellet circuit. And Pieter will head for Spa, where he'll be scoring points in the endurance race on Saturday, and there'll be another sprint race there, but he'll be heading for Belgium as the championship leader, as Pieter Schothorst in car number 21 crosses the line. He does indeed make it 3 wins back to back: the endurance race at Red Bull Ring, the Pro Sprint race at Red Bull Ring, and the Pro Sprint race here at Paul Ricard. Over the line now, David Fuminelli, 8.1 seconds the margin from Schothorst back to Fuminelli, who is no slouch clearly, and then 2 seconds adrift Nelson Panciatici in 3rd position. Bruno Bonifacio, Raoul Owens, Lonnie Martins cross the line almost as one to complete the top 6, and then it's Nicky Pastorelli on the road finishing in 7th, but he'll be bumped a bit further back down the order once that 25-second penalty is taken into account. Hugely
impressive race from start to finish from Pieter Schothorst. They dominated that, didn't ever look likely to be troubled from the cars trying to mount the chase. Great run to the first corner, and after that he just pulled away, and he pulled away in very fine style indeed. At times utterly dominant on any given racing lap, fastest lap after fastest lap for the number 21 car, and that is the way you take the lead in the championship. Yeah, no question about the talent of Pieter Schothorst, and indeed the important work done by the team as well to make sure that that car is set up nicely. It will have had potentially a little bit of bumps and bruises after its opening encounter today, when Jeroen Schothorst had a good race for Equipe Vasseur, but there is confirmation then that it is Pieter Schothorst winning by 8 seconds over David Fuminelli for Oregon team. Nelson Panciatici, the Duquesne Engineering RS01, finishing 3rd ahead of another Oregon car, Bruno Bonifacio, Raoul Owens, Lonnie Martins, Dario Capitano, Renaud Coupens, Jordan Groger and Nicky Pastorelli in 10th in the end, with that 25-second penalty issued. Anders Fjordbach finishes 11th, and sadly the last 3 cars in the order did not make the finish. Kevin Courjus with a niggly issue, mechanical gremlin. Tanart Satin Tericol suffering damage on the opening lap with the front left corner heavily bent in, and Mike Vasseur clashing with Pastorelli on the opening lap, and Mike Vasseur didn't complete the first lap either, so isn't qualified. Well, that may not have been the best race in the world, but that was one hell of a demonstration as to how to drive a Renault RS01 from Pieter Schothorst. No, agreed, yes, and sets a high bar. Well, yeah, and I think one or two other people in the championship will be slightly worried by Pieter Schothorst's form right now. 3 wins back to back, only 3 races to go, and how are they going to break this dominance from the Dutchman? David Fuminelli and Bruno Bonifacio from the Oregon team will
have to go away in the intervening weeks between now and Spa and have a good old think about how they're going to attack the final few races of the season. Raul Owens, I think, will be happy with that 5th place finish, and Lonnie Martins as well kept it clean in this one.
What we'll have next time out, we should see the return of Marcus Paltella, not here this weekend because he's on IMSA racing duty in the United States. He will be reintroduced to the fray.
There is Nelson Pansiutici in the yellow Renault car, Renault paintwork.
Good looking livery in that car.
It is, absolutely. Looks very Formula One. And here is the McGregor-backed car of Equipe Vasseur and Pieter Schott's Pansiutici, making sure that he is out of the way for Schott's to take his rightful position in between the Oregon car and the number 16 Duquesne Engineering machine. And in a moment or two we will be able to grab a word with the winning driver and the man at the moment as far as the championship is concerned, taking the Pro Class Championship lead here in France. Very, very happy with that is Pieter Schott's. Nelson Pansiutici just taking the helmet off there in the Duquesne Engineering overalls. And these 3 drivers will head for the podium very shortly as well. And it'll be the Dutch national anthem that we will hear for Pieter Schott's.
Quite a variety of nationalities have stood on that top step this weekend so far.
Absolutely right.
They've been testing the Paul Ricard circuit's library of national anthems.
Well, everyone has been hit on the nose so far, and it really does show you the true international flavour of one of these Renault Sport Trophy and European Le Mans Series weekends. A meeting of many different nationalities from around the globe these days. And that race unfolding in front of a goodly crowd on the top step of the top level of the pit garages, enjoying the sunshine here in the south of France. We're at 40 k's east of Marseille. Lovely part of the world, very, very scenic indeed, and a great place to go motor racing in the modern era, Les Castellets. So Pieter Schott's being lined up for an interview in the very near future. It was a 14-lap affair, nearly exactly half an hour of racing, and an 8-second advantage for this man, Pieter Schott's. Congratulations to him. Of course, we'll get him up on the podium very, very shortly, but let's first of all hear from the man himself to see how he saw his race.
Peter, 3rd consecutive win for yourself in the pro category. Now in the championship lead, you're definitely on fire at the moment.
Yeah, I'm feeling on fire as well. Together with the team, I think we're performing outstanding. The car has been incredibly well. It's performing well, it's reliable, it's a good car, so I only have to drive.
That was a great way to cap Equipe Vasseur's very strong weekend at Paul Ricard after you placed 2 cars on the podium and yourself with your dad. How special was it to be on the podium yesterday?
To be yesterday on the podium with my dad is incredible. I mean, he's here for fun. I'm trying to make him go a little bit faster, and now he did well. So it's a nice reward to be on the podium together.
Well, we'll let you enjoy the second one right now. Thank you, Peter.
Very, very happy with that is the young man, and here is how he did it, or at least the start of the race. Pieter Schott's not starting from pole, to the left of that shot, but around the outside he went of David Fuminelli, and never really looked back after that overtake. Fuminelli tried to fight back through turn 2. There were cars off left, right and centre, including Nicky Pastorelli and Mike Vasseur, and then of course at the very next corner Mike Vasseur and Pastorelli would clash there, very nearly involving Lonnie Martins. In fact, I think Lonnie Martins' Duquesne Engineering car did receive a bit of contact in that incident as well. He was able to continue, as was Nicky Pastorelli, but sadly it did too much damage to Mike Vasseur's car. A little bit of bodywork, in fact, dropping off the machine then there, and it retired on the spot. We also had this issue for Tanot Satin-Tericul. He was able to limp home in the Team Mark VDS EG 0.0 car, but no further than the pit lane. But later on in the race, a good action there from Raul Owens. finishing in 5th position behind Bruno Bonifacio, but the winner was Pieter Schothorst over the line ahead of David Fuminelli and Nelson Panciatici, and there is Schothorst on the slowing down lap. You can almost tell this, he's got a big grin on his face inside the cockpit at that stage. Panciatici taking a good glug of water to help try and cool the body temperature. Thirsty work, I'm sure. The gentleman stood up there is David Fuminelli, and Schothorst sat on the wall deep in conversation. But the podium is set and ready to go. Call the drivers in reverse order to the final Renault Sport podium of the weekend. Marie-Hélène of the championship is there overseeing the presentation, and Nelson Panciatici goes to the 3rd step. David Fuminelli of Oregon team, the Italian squad, onto the 2nd step, but it is a win for Equipe Vacher and for Pieter Schothorst. Congratulations to him.
That's a race driver that knows that was a very good race indeed for him. There's certainly no shortage of attempts to get back onto terms with to complete the point. Didn't want to interrupt the Dutch national anthem.
Quite right too.
There was no shortage of effort for the two men either side of him here to get up back on the terms with Pieter Schothorst, but they simply did not have it in them. And you know, both these guys, very quick men indeed, in a range of range of racing machinery. But Pieter Schothorst, that's well, cracking stuff. What more might we hear from him in the future?
There's David Fuminelli holding above his head the 2nd place trophy, and Fuminelli will have gathered a number of more points together for his championship run to the end of the year. But the biggest trophy of all going the way of Pieter Schothorst, and also there's a representative there from Equipe Vacher to get a trophy to take back to their headquarters in Holland. So the final few photographs to be taken. 4 gentlemen together on the top step of the podium, and then it'll be the spraying of the champagne with just 4 races, or 2 meetings to go, and potentially 4 more races for the Renault Sport Trophy, but there'll be 3 more for these guys. 91 points now is the number racked up by Pieter Schothorst. It's a lead of 20 over David Fuminelli for Oregon team. Kevin Courjus dropping from the lead of the championship to 3rd. He doesn't score here in France in the pro part of the championship on 68 points. Raoul Owens in 11th. After that 5th place finish for the Brit, 23 points for him. Jordan Grogan on 21 and Lonnie Martins on 20. My thanks to Graham Goodwin. Hope you've enjoyed all the Renault Sport action of the weekend, and join us in Spa in just a month's time at the end of September.